Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is one of the videos that we are talking in the series of Hajj, the meanings of Hajj, the obligations, what to do and what to expect in Hajj. And I've spoken in the previous video about the obligation of Hajj and the importance and the virtue of Hajj. And greatly, Hajj is a great time for a person to achieve so much. It's a time of connection, to connect to yourself. And to connect to others, but more importantly to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to realize who you are and to be in that, if you like, in that synchronization with the rest of the world, that it's all obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah mentions in Surah Al-Hajj itself, when Allah talks about that everything in the universe prostrates itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's the heavens, whether it's the earth, whether it's the mountains, whether it's the sun, the moon, the animals, and most of humanity, they all submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some have chosen not to submit. And so that in itself, and it's not strange that that's actually mentioned in Surah Al-Hajj, because Hajj is that act of submission. You know, it's going out of your way, spending money, spending your time, and also it's a physical challenge as well to go, and nobody's going to do that unless they really have that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to want to do that. Now, part of being and doing Hajj, there is some important timings, some important limitations related to place and time. As for place, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has shown us that there are certain points which a person should not pass without doing the Ihram, which is to enter into a state of sacredness in which certain things will be haram. It's almost like entering the sanctuary of Mecca and the sacred places. You have to not pass these points without entering to Ihram. That's if you're going for Hajj or Umrah, and these have been defined points which actually surround Mecca and the outskirts from different places. So the Prophet defined the areas for if you're coming from Medina, if you're coming from Iraq, if you're coming from Sham, if you're coming from Yemen, different places. There's borders, set points, if you like, that if you reach this point, then don't pass this point without actually going into Ihram, making the intention of Ihram, downing the clothes and doing the things, and then being aware of not to break the things that will break the Ihram, which we'll talk about inshallah in later videos. I'm not going to mention those specifically, but those are quite clear. And today when people come through the airplanes, you usually get an announcement on the airplane that, look, we're going to pass what's known as the miqat, the set allocated point. So get ready to do and to go into Ihram. Secondly, there's allocated time. Now for Umrah, you could do Umrah any time of the year. So you can enter into the state of Ihram for Umrah any time of the year. However, for Hajj specifically, you only have a period of 2 months and 10 days, which is after Ramadan. So from the month of Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, right up to the end of the day of Arafah. Because after the day of Arafah has passed, then it is no longer you're no longer able to do the Hajj, because an essential pillar of Hajj is to stand at Arafah, and if the day of Arafah has passed, then you fall or you lose that ability to do to get the reward of the Hajj. So Hajj, in terms of timing, has to be done within those periods. Now, Hajj and Umrah, they have essential pillars. They have things which are considered obligations. There are things which are recommended. And there are things which, within those things, also have to be detailed. Inshallah, I'll be speaking about these point by point, but also trying to touch on some of the inner meanings. Now, remember, Hajj is about that journey that a person is going to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so it's not strange that Hajj, it should be used and utilized by anybody who's going to Hajj to make the most out of it. This is not a vacation, this is not a holiday. you're just going to enjoy yourself and do a bit of sightseeing, etc. This is an actual act of ibadah, and you are there every moment of your stay in Hajj, whether you are awake or asleep, should be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you have that right intention, if you have that right purpose, that right attitude. And so, like any other thing, intention is so important within doing Hajj and Umrah, and that's why it's also an important pillar of Hajj and Umrah, to have that intention that I'm doing the Hajj, and to announce that intention as well. The ulama say it's recommended to say what your intention is for you doing Hajj, Umrah, or a different or a combination of both, which again we'll talk about in due course. So intention, and the intention for Ihram, which is to enter into the sanctuary and the sacredness of doing the Hajj and Umrah, that is an important part of coming into this whole process of Hajj. Intention isn't something very difficult. It's something in the heart, essentially. What are you intending? What do you want to do? But remember, it's about reaping the reward. And how do you reap the reward? How do you reap the reward? You reap it by trying to make your intention as beautiful and as eloquent as possible. So don't just intend, I'm just intending to do Hajj. Intend the bigger things as well. I intend to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I intend to learn. I intend to purify myself. I intend to meet other fellow Muslims. I intend to purify myself, to have more taqwa, to have more iman, to do good deeds, to do this, that. I intend to give charity. And lots of, the more beautiful intentions you have, the greater reward you'll get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with Ihram, you're entering into this sacredity. And so therefore, once you make that intention, and in your heart firmly, recommended to announce it on your tongue, then you have entered into the state of Ihram. And here you will have certain restrictions on what you can do, what you can wear, the practices that will nullify the Ihram, we'll talk about inshallah. But it really is about understanding that purpose. So here you're entering and almost announcing to yourself that, look, I'm entering into a more, if you like, a different level, a different state altogether, because now I'm in a state which I'm wanting to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's almost like I'm releasing myself from all the things that bring me down. When a person goes into Ihram, or just before they go into Ihram, it's recommended to do a few things. And we know that Hajj is an act of gathering, obviously. Lots of people are going to be gathered at every different point, whether it's in Tawaf, whether it's in Sa'i, whether it's in standing in Arafah, whether it's going to be Mina, Muzdalifah, different places, so many people. And there's always an emphasis by the Sharia that whenever you are in large gatherings, like Jumu'ah or Salat al-Eid or whatever, that you always are presented well in terms of your odor, in terms of your smell. So recommended to have a shower at different points. There's also to keep things clean. An important part of doing this as well, as you enter, making the intention, also there's Hajj is about talbiyah. So remember, it's about answering the call that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained on people to do Hajj. And one of the formats of talbiyah, which was taught by the Prophet ﷺ, is to say, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna al-hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. This is called the talbiyah. It's like a response. It's like answering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, you've called me to do the Hajj. Oh Allah, I'm answering you. So that's the whole nature of labbaik. And you carry on doing this talbiyah as much as you can. Fill in all those spaces that you have with your time with the talbiyah or with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, so Allah, don't leave any moments without being fully utilized. Whenever you're sitting there and thinking, what should I be doing? لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. So it's to say it, it's to announce it, to make that a part of you in that aspect. So like I say, before doing the Ihram, make sure you get that wash in there. 2 rak'ah, which is almost saying that this is my 2 rak'ah exiting the non-Ihram state. You can put some perfume for the men on your body, but not on your actual Ihram clothes. And you've got the intention, you've done your rak'ah, you're going to enter into that state of Ihram, and you're going to then make your way, obviously, to the house, to do the next important act of Hajj, and in fact an important pillar of Hajj, which is the tawaf, which we'll talk about inshallah in due course. Assalamu alaikum.